Well, it was a busy first half. 3 goals scored in that one, and that's all she wrote. None in that second 45, but it's okay because those 3 goals in favor of Canada. 2-1, they beat Brazil. Andy Petrillo alongside Diana Matheson. Isn't it so nice to have all this couch space when the guys are gone? The guys are gone, the girls come out to play, and the Canadians have now won 5 straight. Let's bring in Amy Walsh, former national team player as well. Amy, you were watching that one alongside us. This is what we've been calling for, right? After we had you on as well when Canada took on Morocco and Argentina in their last window. And I said, what do you want to see moving forward? You said, I want to see stiffer competition. You saw it, and how do you think Canada did?
Yeah, I think big picture, this is exactly what you want from Canada. So they come into this game, as you mentioned, 2 big wins against next year's host in Australia, a really formidable opponent, and then 2 kind of tier 2 teams, and they get the victories against teams that were sitting in a lower block. And now they get a top 10 team in Brazil, and a bit of an uneven performance. But what really sticks out for me is the performance of Shelina Zadorsky. I thought she was outstanding. And I asked Bev Priestman going into this contest how important it was for Zadorsky to kind of reestablish herself in that pairing with Kadisha Buchanan. We've seen the emergence of Jade Rose. We know that Vanessa Gilles is on her way back. She opts out of this camp as she kind of gets herself settled in with Lyon. But I think to have that depth in the back line and really tight defensive play, and then Kaylin Sheridan as well comes up massively today for Canada against a Brazilian offense that was going to shoot from everywhere and was going to shoot on target. So I really like this. So an uneven performance, I'd say, but they get the win. And that they get the result against a top 10 team. And I think they come away from this feeling very good about that performance.
Yeah, the last few games, Kaylin Sheridan, I mean, she might as well have pulled out a lawn chair. She was a little bit busier here. Not that you necessarily want to see your goalkeeper all that busy either, but she came up when she needed to. The Canadians score goals. Other than that first goal in the 45, they did shore things up defensively. How did you think they did?
Yeah, I think, like Amy said, I think one of the key takeaways here is they got the win. And like we were saying before the game, this is a Canada that is out there every game proving again how good they are, and they're one of the world's best teams, and they absolutely wanted the win tonight. I think the other one that we spoke about at halftime was set pieces. Yeah. The best teams in the world, especially at World Cups, score goals off set pieces, and I thought that was such a positive. They got 2 goals tonight. Totally agree with Amy. I thought Zadorsky was fantastic tonight. And then the third key for me, I think, was just the roster of strikers you saw on the field today. A couple of stalwarts out there, Adriana scoring the screamer, Evelyn Viens, you saw Chloe Lacasse, you saw Jordan come on. Again, Amanda Allen coming on at 17 years old, first cap up front. I thought she looked comfortable out there. Bev spoke so highly of her at the U17, so it was really great to see so many great strikers for Canada out there today.
Yeah, this is, it's great to talk about all the players that are coming on in and fitting right on in and playing well, but it's going to make for an interesting starting 11 chat closer to World Cup, because you've just pointed out there's no Vanessa Gilles here. She's just recently coming back from injury. She's getting minutes with her club, and Janine Becky has said that this was always a scheduled break for her. She was never going to be part of this camp. And when we look at the players up front, I don't know how you keep Adriana Leon out of the starting 11, but then how do you put everyone else in there, Amy? Because you are looking at Janine Becky, Nichelle Prince. Who is it going to be? Jordan Huitema, Evelyn Viens. You know Sinclair is still a presence, but is she, Leon, in your starting 11?
Yes, she is 100%. And I mean, Annie, the narrative for so long is who's going to replace Christine Sinclair? And now she's finally back. And I think something that we don't talk about is the reinsertion of Sinclair and Lawrence in the lineup, and how that, like 2 really impressive, strong players, that might unsettle the 11 a little bit. That, the rhythm that they found in the past 4 games, you get those guys back in the lineup and the players on the pitch want to find them with the ball. But I think to your original question, when is the last time Canada's been this top heavy when you think about strikers? And believe me, top heavy is not a description anyone's used to describe me, whether I'm wearing a soccer shirt or off the pitch. But this is a great problem for Bev Priestman to have, right? So, I mean, listen, Leon is in that lineup, 10 out of 10 for me, because, half volleys, left foot, right foot, out of the box, she's a threat. She's in my lineup.
Don't say things that are going to get me in trouble then when I'm trying to follow up here. All right, let's go to the other end of the pitch now and give a little love to Kaylin Sheridan. She also gets our All-State save of the match in the 57th minute, coming up big here. And as much as Canada, we want to see them play strong defensively, and they do. We did see, if the Olympics is any indication, Dee, we did see Steph Lebay was busy, right? So when you are going up against better competition and teams that will find a way to break you down and get shots on target, you need your goalie to stand tall. And is this another good example of, Kaylin herself now going up against competition where she's being tested? Because, again, come Olympics, come World Cup, better competition is they are going to get shots on target.
Yeah, absolutely. To win a World Cup, we know we're going to need solid goalkeeping. Unfortunately for Canada, goalkeeping is something we've never lacked at. And every minute, every game, Kaylin Sheridan is in that goal for Canada. It's just going to be another minute. She's more confident. She's even more of a leader. She's going to be in the goal, Again, we have several other options in there. Lizzie Ann, a young player, is coming up in goal. She's fantastic. Sabrina D'Angelo is back in this camp. We have so much depth in this position, but right now that position is firmly Kaylin. And every minute she plays, she's only going to get more confident because she's been one of the best goalkeepers already in the world for the past number of seasons, doing it every week in the NWSL. And now Canadians, we've talked about it every game. They're starting to see her. And they're only going to get to know her better because she's incredible. She's a fantastic shot stopper like you see there, and she's going to be an absolute wall for Canada in the World Cup.
Helps Canada get the win here today, 2-1 over Brazil. They're going to face Brazil again on November 15th. They will just switch locations. They'll move to Sao Paulo for that one. Be sure to join us same time, 1 p.m. Eastern. We'll get you ready for kickoff. Can the Canadians make it 6 wins in a row right here on One Soccer? When we return, we'll take a look at the goals. You mentioned set pieces, Dee, both of them coming off corners for the Canadians. Zadorsky getting a goal, and yeah, we'll take a look at that beauty shot as well by Adriana Leon. That's next here on One Soccer.
Fun. Intelligence. Drive. They run in the family. Corolla.
A new era for Canadian soccer begins today. Experience the emotion of every match. Watch all the highlights, the breaking news, the best debates, and analysis, and all the information about the Canadian stars playing abroad. Get access to the best of Canadian soccer from any device. Join the new dawn of an unstoppable game. See the rise on onesoccer.ca.
Thank you, Canada, for making dreams come true. We're with you all the way.
For life's transitions, working from home, and even small businesses, life gets better when you have space. With no long-term contracts or leases, get the size you need. First 4 weeks free. Access Storage, proud partner of Canada Soccer and the women's national team.
Canada's soccer heartbeat is growing faster as FIFA World Cup Qatar rapidly approaches, and Canada has one more friendly to prepare. One final test. It's Canada versus Japan, November 17th. One Soccer.
There, but my goodness, Brazil with 20 shots. We just finished singing the praises of Kaylin Sheridan, and rightfully so. I mean, even though it's equal with 8 shots on target, her head was on an absolute swivel in this one. But the Canadians, they get the victory 2-1. That's 5 wins in a row. They also scored the first 2 goals in this one to go up as we welcome you back here to One Soccer. Andy, Diana, and Amy joining you. So let's take a look at that first goal. Both the Canadian goals we had mentioned have come off set pieces. Those were both corners. But Shalina Zadorsky, here we go, Amy. And once again, contributions as well, right? Other than your forward positions of players finding the back of the net.
Yeah, she was so good defensively, but to see her get on the board offensively, much the way she did, I think she scores the equalizer in that 2-2 tie against Nigeria back in the spring. So she's a threat anytime she's on the end of these crosses or corner kicks. I mean, she's really great for Canada on those.
How good does it feel? Because that's so obvious that they worked on that corner. And oftentimes, if it doesn't go your way, like you can never use that tactic again throughout the game because the other team has kind of figured it out. So when you nail it right out of the gate, how good does that feel?
Yeah, when it's straight off the training ground, that it feels pretty nice. Because let's be honest, it's like 1 out of 7 of those you actually score on. And that one, I think, was executed beautifully. And who doesn't love a center back goal?
Yeah, there you go. All right. Midfield, center back, you got to love singing their praises. Let's take a look at the second goal. Adriana Leon. I know her foot was bothering her, Amy, most of last year. So she just looks like she's completely healthy, recovered. And my goodness, I don't know if also just playing with Manchester United now has completely turned things for her.
Yeah, I CC'd Manchester United women in that tweet showing the highlight of this goal. So I hope they're watching because I don't know how she can ride the pine when she's able to score from everywhere on the pitch. And Dee's talking about, training pitch execution and then putting that into play in games, like Sinky with that flick is just perfection to me. So I love that. 2 goals off of the set pieces. And I didn't even talk about Ashley Lawrence's contribution on the last goal, but that's what Ashley Lawrence and the quality that she brings every time gives Canada.
Yeah, and you're right, and we'll get into that too, because you want to obviously see them playing with their pro club, and I would say that she's a different level than Jordan Huitema, because Jordan Huitema, when she went to PSG, she just appreciated being in that environment and training in that environment. I'm sure even for Adriana Leon, being in a Manchester United environment is still very beneficial, but at the end of the day, you want them playing.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? The same thing happened to Jessie Fleming when she first went to Chelsea. She didn't get the minutes I think all of us in Canada knew she deserved. And then as soon as she did start getting the minutes, you see what she's done. She's been incredible. Hopefully we're going to see the same thing with Dree, where it's only a matter of time till she's getting the minutes she deserves. And then Man U fans will get to enjoy those goals for themselves. And I just want to say to that goal again, that was fantastic technique. That was a difficult shot for me. If I'm doing that same shot, I'm letting that bounce and actually taking it off on the half volley, which I think is a bit easier. She took that right out of the air, which is incredibly difficult. Left foot, beautiful shot. And then I think, too, the other point that can be made here is these top players are going to England to top clubs, and it's so cool. I would have loved to have played for Chelsea or Man U. I was a little before they were putting in the money over there, but those are also the players that, when we have the top clubs here and the players are coming, they're going to be marquee players playing 90 minutes, and we're going to get to see Adriana Leon score those goals at home versus having them to go to a foreign club where they're not an automatic pick and they're really having to earn their way in, even though they should be getting more minutes.
Keep CCing them on Twitter, Amy. We are relying on you to do that. But unfortunately, the Canadians don't get the clean sheet. And I say unfortunately because I've said this before, I'm married to a goalkeeper, and every time there was a win, I'd say, oh, win. And he would just shrug the shoulders and be like, yeah, but we let in a goal. They're not satisfied completely with just wins. They want the clean sheet as well. But Brazil managed to break the Canadians down a little bit here in the midfield, didn't they?
Yeah, they did, and that's what you saw in the first half was the dominance of Brazil in the middle of the park. And you'd heard Dee talk about it, the way that Grosso and Fleming would maybe have liked to have made some adjustments, but you see St. George on the wrong side of the attacker there, and it's just a cheeky little chip over top the back line there. I mean, this is a very Brazil goal, isn't it? And then we can debate that handball, I think, all day. We don't really get like a good view on it. I thought it was shoulder, but upon review, I'm going to say that was a handball. So I don't know if that's controversial or not, but that's a Debinha goal if I've ever seen one. So credit to her and credit to Brazil. And obviously Canada wants to keep a clean sheet there, but that's a quality, really, really high level goal there by Brazil.
Yeah.
I think in the World Cup, we'll have the pleasure of having a 4-minute break for VAR, and we'll get to have a really solid look at that one. And I think for me in this case, maybe my hunch would have been it would have been a handball, pulled back. But yeah, definitely some defensive tidying up there to do for Canada.
What makes you think it's always going to be a 4-minute review?
It's just an average.
Might be a 9-minute review.
Oh, no, don't say that. You know, but these are obviously the types of games, again, that you want to see Canada play in. And if you're Bev Priestman, now that we know Canada can score, and they have been, you know, pretty solid defensively, although we were talking about the depth and how quickly we can see that fade. Jade Rivera obviously not playing here. She's dealing with a hip injury. Is there any position now, Dee, if you're Bev and you're going into the next Brazil game, and you're like, maybe this is where I want to experiment a little bit, or this is who I'd like to try a little bit?
Yeah, and we spoke about it a bit, and Bev has spoken about it. I think looking at, in terms of planning talent, you have to look at the ages of players and the pathway and who's coming up and how much depth you have in each position. And the area of most concern for Canada right now is that fullback position. So you can see, we didn't see a ton of faces today, but even in the lineup, there's, in the roster of Canada, Surayeka is back in, Marie Levasseur is back in. We saw St. George start, and then we saw Gabby Carl come in. Gabby Carl had a pretty solid second half there. But that's the position where I think Bev's going to keep trying a pool of players and see who does well in that position.
Do you agree with that, Amy?
Yeah, I do, because we don't see this same type of depth there that Canada has at the other positions. And I think if you can free up an Ashley Lawrence, as good as she is on the left or on the right, in this 4-2-3-1 or even in a 4-3-3, if you can get, but especially in the system they're playing today, if you can get an Ashley Lawrence in an advanced position, I just think that opens so much up for Canada. And I think we'll see later on in a possession pack, but Canada had a lot of trouble finding possession and linking and getting that link up play in the middle of the park. And hopefully we'll see a better performance from the midfielders next game. But I think if you get a player of Lawrence's quality a little bit higher up the pitch, I think it really vaults Canada in with like the contenders and the best players and the best countries, the best teams in the world.
Let's take a look at that position. You put some things together here that you saw in this game when it comes to Canada.
Yeah, I think this is the second half. So again, I think the tempo of the game overall slowed. It was less high flying, less chances. I think Canada's first corner was in, like, you know, there was only half an hour left in the game. So I think Sinclair, what she does well, and then Sophie Schmidt does it well when she comes in, is she settles the ball down and from a knockdown, and then they keep the possession. And then it gives Sheridan a chance to get the players in their shape. And then again, you see Fleming dropping a little bit deeper, but then this switch of play, and then you see Carl here with a great first touch, and then just a little bit heavy with the weight of that pass to try to find Heidema. But I think Canada, we didn't see a ton of that type of play where there was good spells of possession and they were really moving Brazil and really stretching them wide. So I think if Canada can sort of capitalize on that, and we maybe see Canada with more of the ball next time we see them play on a Tuesday.
All right, I want to give just a little bit of a shout out here, Amy. In halftime, we aired a feature on Carmelina Moscato. She's coaching, we know, out in Mexico. Tigres, they're in the final. Leg 1 goes tonight, leg 2 on Monday. What's the shout out maybe you want to give to Carm here?
Well, I just think keep leading the charge, Carm. I mean, we see Rian win the NWSL championship. We see Carm doing the same thing in Liga MX Femenil. I think just keep showing the way for the Canadian talent, whether it's, you know, coaches, referees, administrators, players, and then hopefully we get a league back home and we can bring all of that talent back here and really put it on display.
I know. I'm a little nervous for Carm here tonight. I haven't gotten this nervous in a long time.
Yeah, you stressed? No, I'm confident in Carm's ability to bring home the championship, so I'm not nervous, Andy.
I'm confident too. You just get a little nervous for a friend here. But yeah, she's doing great things. Rian, I know we haven't been on since Portland Thorns won their record 3rd NWSL title, so congratulations to Rian. Karina LeBlanc, of course, and Christine Sinclair and Janine Becky on their championship. That's Amy Walsh. That's Diana Matheson. I'm Annie Petrillo. Thanks for tuning in on this very busy day. The men were up first against Bahrain. 2-2 was the final there. The Canadian women keeping their winning streak alive, extending it to 5 with a 2-1 win over Brazil. They'll be in action again, which means we'll be right here on November 15th for the women, November 17th for the men when they take on Japan, and then they will kick off against Belgium November 23rd in the World Cup. You've been watching Matchday Live here on One Soccer. We'll see you next time.
Think you've seen tough? You've seen nothing. When you're absolutely drenched and still take the final shot? Not even a challenge. Playing extra time under the beating hot sun. Hardly sweating. When the wind's so chilling it cuts to the bone? Now we're getting